It was a humid Florida night in the summer of 2016. The kind of night where the air sticks to your skin and sleep never quite comes. I was 66 years old, staring at the cracked dashboard of my 1998 Honda Civic. The only light came from a flickering street lamp outside the Walmart parking lot where I'd parked for the evening. I was divorced, bankrupt, and utterly alone. My bank account held exactly $47. My credit cards maxed out at $38,000. At 66, most people would be planning their golden years, golf trips, and maybe a little travel. But me, I was wondering if I could stretch a half-eaten sandwich until morning. I pulled my thin jacket tighter around my shoulders, leaned back against the worn driver's seat and whispered to the empty air, "This is it. I've run out of time." Little did I know. One quiet decision in the weeks to come would rewrite everything. Because I was about to prove something profound. You're never too old to start over. Not at 66, not ever. If you're watching this on your television and it's already touching your heart, look, we've just put a simple QR code in the corner of your screen. All you have to do is take your phone, open the camera, point it at that code for 2 seconds, and it will take you straight to our channel where you can tap subscribe and the little bell. It's the easiest way from your couch, and it means the world to us. Welcome to Never Too Late Stories. I'm your host, and every week we share real, heartfelt tales of people just like you, folks over 50, 60, even 70, who thought their best days were behind them. But they weren't. These aren't fairy tales. They're proof that one spark, one choice, can light up the road ahead. If you're over 60 and watching this right now, feeling like the clock has run out, this story is for you. Let me tell you who I am. Idit Robert Jones wasn't always the man shivering in a parking lot. Born in 1950 in a small Ohio town, I grew up in a world where hard work meant something. My father was a factory worker. My mother kept the books for the local feed store. I learned early, get a steady job, buy a house, raise a family. That's the American dream, right? I did it all. Married my high school sweetheart at 22, had 2 kids by 28. Landed a solid job in sales for a manufacturing firm. By 40, I had a modest home in the suburbs, family vacations to the lake, and a savings account that felt like security. Life was good, predictable, the kind of life that makes you think you've got it all figured out. But at 55, the cracks started to show. The company restructured. I was let go, not fired, mind you, just transitioned to early retirement. I was 55 when I got the call from HR. So it's nothing personal, they said, but it felt personal, deeply so. I took the severance, started freelancing, consulting gigs here, a little real estate side hustle there. It worked for a while. My wife, Ann Linda, was my rock. We'd been together 33 years by then. She worked part-time at a library, and together we patched the leaks. But the freelance world, it's feast or famine, and the famines started to add up. At 58, I tried my hand at flipping houses. I'd read a book, watched some seminars, borrowed against our home equity to buy a fixer-upper in Cleveland. Sounded smart on paper. But the market dipped. The renovations ballooned from $20,000 to $60,000. We sold it at a loss. Just like that. $80,000 of our nest egg vanished. I was 59 when the bank statement started arriving like bad news. Linda and I sat at the kitchen table night after night, calculators out, whispering about cutting corners. No more lake trips. Cable gone, but we held on. Love like ours, it weathers storms. Then came the health scare. At 61, Linda was diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer. I was right there. Doctor's appointments, chemo runs, holding her hand through the nausea. She beat it, thank God. Remission at 62, but the medical bills, they piled up like autumn leaves. $45,000 out of pocket. Insurance covered most, but not all. I took on more debt to bridge the gap. Credit cards, home equity loans. By 64, our marriage, once so solid, started to fray under the weight. Arguments over money turned into silences that lasted days. I worked 12-hour shifts consulting remotely, but the stress ate at me. Sleepless nights, that knot in my stomach that wouldn't loosen. I was 65 when the divorce papers came. 33 years, gone in a judge's signature. Linda said it wasn't about the money. It was about the exhaustion, the resentment that had built like slow poison. I didn't fight it. I was too tired. The house sold for less than we owed thanks to the market crash of '08 lingering in echoes. I walked away with $12,000 and a suitcase, moved to Florida for a fresh start, warmer weather, cheaper living, or so I thought, but the consulting dried up. No network down south. At 66, I found myself in that Honda Civic, parked in strangers' lots, wondering if this was how it ended. Alone, broke, invisible. The nights were the worst. I was 66, and every creak of the car settling made me jump. I'd lock the doors at dusk, recline the seat as far as it went, and stare at the moonroof. If you could call that crack of plastic a moonroof. The Civic wasn't much. 200,000 miles on the odometer, a heater that wheezed more than it warmed, and a glove box stuffed with unpaid bills. I'd eat from dollar stores, peanut butter on saltines, canned tuna when I could swing it, showers, public restrooms at gas stations, if I timed it right, laundry, coin-up machines behind motels, pretending I was just passing through. One night, maybe 3 weeks into this nightmare, I hit bottom. It was raining. Hard, the kind that turns parking lots into rivers. I was parked behind a strip mall, engine off to save gas. My phone buzzed. A collection call, $200 past due on a card I couldn't pay. I answered, voice cracking. I know. I'm trying. But I wasn't. Not really. As I hung up, tears mixed with the rain on the window. I thought of my kids, grown now, with families of their own up north. I hadn't told them about the car. How could I? Dad's fine, I'd say on our monthly calls. Lies to spare them worry. I was 66 and the weight of it crushed me. All those years of providing. And what did I have? A car that smelled like regret. I remembered my father's words from decades ago. Son, a man builds something to leave behind. But I had built nothing, just debt and distance. That night, with thunder rumbling like judgment, I pulled a bottle of cheap whiskey from under the seat, a rare indulgence. 2 sips, and the thoughts came flooding. What's the point? At 66, who hires a washed-up salesman? Who starts over when your body's starting to ache and your savings are a myth? I pressed the bottle to my forehead, closed my eyes and whispered, God, if you're listening, I'm done. But dawn came anyway, and with it, a flicker. I was 66, nursing a hangover and a bruised spirit, when I fired up the radio, static. Then a podcast crackled through, Bigger Pockets, real estate investing for regular folks. I almost changed the station, real estate, after the Flip disaster. But the host's voice hooked me. You don't need money to start, just knowledge and grit. I sat up straighter, grit. I had that buried under the shame. I listened for an hour, parked in that same lot as the sun burned off the clouds. Terms I'd half forgotten, wholesaling, bird dogging, seller financing, no big banks, no credit checks, just deals. I was skeptical. At 66, most people scroll past get rich quick ads, but this felt different, real. The host shared a story, a guy in his 50s, post-divorce who made $10,000 in a month finding deals for investors. I scribbled notes on a napkin, find motivated sellers, negotiate contracts, assign to buyers. Simple, scary, but possible. That afternoon, I drove to the public library, free Wi-Fi, air conditioning, a lifeline. I binge-listened for hours, headphones on like armor. Books too, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. My mind raced. What if? At 66, what if this was the door cracking open? The spark grew. I started small. I was 66, living in a car, but I had a phone and time. I joined online forums, Bigger Pockets groups, Facebook communities for Florida deals, bird dogging, they called it, scouting properties, tipping off investors for a finder's fee. No risk, low reward, but a start. I drove neighborhoods in my Civic, eyes peeled for sale by owner, signs, overgrown lawns, faded paint. Every ugly house was a possibility. I'd knock polite as pie. Evening, ma'am, saw your place might be for sale. Know anyone looking to move quick? Most slammed doors. Some laughed, but a few talked. The first real break came faster than I dared hope. It was 42 days after that rainy night. I was 66, nursing coffee in a library cubicle when my phone rang. A lead from a forum post. Elderly widow in Tampa. House paid off but repairs piling up. She wanted out, fast. I drove 90 minutes that afternoon, Civic rattling like my nerves. The house, a 1950s bungalow, sagging porch, but solid bones. Value, $180,000 fixed. As is, $120,000. The widow, Mrs. Hargrove, was 82, tired of the upkeep. My husband's gone. I just want to be near my daughter in Georgia. My heart pounded. I wasn't buying, just connecting. Ma'am, I know folks who fix up places like this. Cash buyers, no agents, no hassles. I can get you $115,000, close in 30 days. She hesitated, then nodded. We shook on it. I snapped photos, crunched numbers on my phone, investor contact from the forum, a guy named Mike in Orlando. Found you a deal, I emailed. Contract pending, $10,000 assignment fee. Mike bit. Hard. The next 42 days, agony and ecstasy. I was 66 and every day felt like walking a tightrope. I drafted the contract myself, sweating over legalese in library books. Called Mrs. Hargrove weakly. Everything's on track, ma'am. She fretted, I soothed. Mike grilled me. Inspections. Title clear. I learned on the fly. County records. Lean searches. Sleepless in the Civic. Rain or shine. One night, a storm flooded the lot. I woke soaked. Papers safe in a plastic bag. But I pushed. At 66, this was my shot. Failure, not an option. Closing day arrived like a miracle. A title company in a strip mall. Fluorescent lights buzzing. I was in my one clean shirt, hands shaking as I signed as a signer. Mrs. Hargrove got her check, smiling for the first time in months. Mike walked with the keys, and me, a cashier's check for $9,200. $9,200. I sat in the Civic afterward, staring at it under the dashlight. Tears came, hot, grateful. I was 66, and for the first time in years I felt possible. That night, I treated myself. A real meal at Denny's. Grand Slam breakfast. Here it tasted like victory. That $9,200 was rocket fuel. I was 66, but I moved like a man half my age. I rented a cheap studio apartment, $650 a month, bed and a desk. No more parking lots. I dove deeper into wholesaling. Next deal, a duplex in Sarasota, $12,500 fee. Then a single family in Lakeland, $7,800. By month's end, I'd cleared $28,000. Debt payments first, credit cards down to $25,000. Then a used laptop for deal hunting. I joined local REIA meetings, real estate investors associations, suited up in my best only blazer, networking like it was oxygen. Robert Jones, I'd say, handshake firm, bird dog turned wholesaler, looking for off-market gems. But scaling, that brought the growing pains. At 67, I tried my first flip. Partnered with Mike, a foreclosed rancher in Ocala, $95,000 purchase. We split costs. I fronted $15,000 from wholesale savings. Gutted the kitchen, new roof, fresh paint. 6 months of dust and deadlines. I swung hammers some days, my back screaming in protest. At 67, most men my age golf. I sweated through 90-degree heat, learning plumbing the hard way. A burst pipe that flooded the yard. Cost us $2,000 extra. We sold for $165,000. Profit, $28,000 split. My share, $14,000. A win, but exhausting. Mistakes piled up like tuition. At 68, I overpaid on a contract, got greedy, ignored comps. Lost $3,500 walking away. Lesson 1. Always verify numbers twice. Partnerships soured too. A flip with a new investor dragged, delays, arguments. I learned to vet people harder than properties. Trust but verify, I'd mutter. And the market, it tested me. 2018 dip, prices flatlined. I wholesaled through it, low-risk deals keeping cash flow alive. I read voraciously, books on negotiation, mindset, resilience. Atomic Habits became my Bible. Small changes, daily calls, 50 a day, weekly goals, no excuses. I was 68 when the real shift happened. I'd built a Rolodex of sorts, 50 investors, 20 seller leads a month, but I wanted more than fees. I wanted equity, ownership, stability. That's when seller financing entered the picture. Simple concept, revolutionary for me. Buy with no bank loan, owner carries the note, low down payment, flexible terms. At a REIA meetup, I met Elena, a retired teacher with a vacant rental in Gainesville. Tired of tenants, wanted steady income without selling outright. What if I take it over? I asked. I pay you $500 a month. You hold the deed. She agreed. $80,000 purchase, $10,000 down from flip profits, 5% interest over 15 years. First rental. Cash flow, $400 a month after expenses. I was 68 and that check felt like freedom. I fixed it up. New carpet, fresh paint, on the cheap. Tenant, a young nurse, reliable. By 69, I'd done 3 more. All seller financed, no FICO scores, no appraisals, just relationships and hustle. Investors became friends, sellers, allies. I explained it simply in my notes. At your age, banks say no, but people say yes. The portfolio snowballed. At 69, I hit 10 properties, mix of single families, a duplex or 2. I lived lean. Still that studio, ramen some nights. Every dollar went back in. Refinanced one at 70, cash out for down payments on 2 more. By 71, 18 doors. Cash flow, $4,200 a month. Debt melting. Cards paid off at 70. I bought a small house, nothing fancy. 3 bedrooms in a quiet neighborhood. First real bed in years. At 71, I hosted my kids for Christmas. No more lies. I've been rebuilding, I told them, voice steady. They hugged me tight, pride in their eyes. Scaling meant systems. At 72, I hired help. A property manager for $800 a month, a VA in the Philippines for leads, $300. Freed me to focus. Bigger deals, multi-family hunts, a 4-plex in Daytona. Seller financed, $250,000, $25,000 down. Cash flow, $1,200 monthly. I studied tax strategies, depreciation, 1031 exchanges. You're building wealth, not just income, my accountant said. I nodded. At 72, most dream of retirement. I was living it, on my terms. Challenges lingered. At 73, a hurricane hit Florida. Roof damage on 3 units, $15,000 outlay. Insurance fought me tooth and nail. Sleepless again, but wiser. I had reserves now, an emergency fund, 6 months, expenses. Weathered it. Tenant issues too. A bad eviction at 74, costing time and tears. But each setback taught, diversify, insure properly, screen ruthlessly. By 2023, I owned 27 properties, all free and clear. Mortgages paid early, balloon payments negotiated down. Net worth $4.7 million. Not flashy, modest holdings, steady appreciation, but mine. Today, I, Robert Jones, am 73. I wake to birdsong in my Florida home, coffee on the porch overlooking a garden I tend myself. No more Civic, no more $47 bank balances. I travel slowly, thoughtfully. A month in Portugal last year, wandering cobblestone streets, sketching property ideas in a notebook. Another in Costa Rica, hiking gentle trails, breathing air that feels like possibility. At 73, my body's not what it was, knees creak, but I walk daily, 5 miles, yoga twice a week. Keeps the mind sharp, I say. But the real wealth, the mentoring. I was 70 when I started teaching. Free workshops at the library. Real estate after 60, no money down. Seniors show up. Widows like Mrs. Hargrove, retirees like I once was. You don't need millions, I tell them. Just one deal, one yes. I've helped 47 people close their first wholesale or rental. A woman at 68 now with 3 doors. A veteran at 71, cash flowing $800 a month. I don't charge. Someone gave me a chance, I say, passing it on. I think of Linda sometimes. We talk, cordial, healing. No regrets, just lessons. My kids, grandkids visit, wide-eyed at Grandpa's empire. I chuckle. It's not an empire, just homes. For people like us. My story isn't about the millions. It's about the man at 66 in that rain-soaked car who chose one more day, one more call, one more belief in himself. I was 66 when the world said too late, but I proved them wrong. Quietly, steadily, with grit and grace. If you're over 60, staring at your own dashboard, bills stacking, dreams fading, hear this. Your spark is still there. It doesn't matter if you're 66, 70, or 76. One decision, one step. It can change everything. I did it, so can you, because it's never too late. If this story moved you and you're still watching on your TV, we've put the QR code back on screen one last time. Just open your phone camera, point it at the code, and you'll be taken directly to our channel to subscribe and turn on the bell. And if you know someone who needs to hear that it's never too late, just show them this same QR code or forward them the video. Even one new subscriber or one share can brighten someone's day. Thank you truly from my heart.